Today is Tuesday, May 31st. There's new information about a major decision during the school shooting in Texas, who says it was the wrong one, and what the federal government is doing about it now. Also, what could be the biggest punishment yet for Russia over its war in Ukraine, and how it could impact most of Europe, too. Plus, you may want to check the brand of strawberries in your fridge. Things got chaotic when two of the world's biggest sports teams faced off. And which popular movie sequel broke records at the box office, doing better than the original decades later. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Law enforcement in Texas now admit the wrong decision was made during the school shooting in Uvalde. And with that, outrage is growing about how long it took law enforcement officers to confront the gunman who killed 19 children and 2 teachers. After a bunch of confusing and conflicting information at first, authorities now say the timeline went like this. At around 11:30 a.m., the shooter got into the school through a door that should have been locked, but that a teacher had propped open. Only minutes later, police officers followed him inside. But no one actually confronted the shooter until 12:50, about an hour and 20 minutes after the shooting started. All the while, children were inside the classrooms making frantic calls to 911. So why did it take officers so long? The director of the Texas State Police said the commander on scene considered the situation no longer active since the gunman barricaded himself in one classroom and officers were waiting in the hallway. That commander decided it would be best at that point to wait for more backup and equipment. But the gunman was apparently still shooting, and the officers in the hallway could hear it. So the state police director says the commander made, quote, the wrong decision, period. That commander was actually supposed to be sworn in as a city council member today, but now that's not happening. And the U.S. Justice Department is reviewing the response in the hopes of better preparing first responders for the future. In the meantime, at least one U.S. senator is asking people to reserve judgment. Senator John Cornyn of Texas wrote on Twitter, quote, the second-guessing and finger-pointing is destructive, distracting, and unfair. He said officers are forced to make split-second decisions and that it's easy to criticize with 20/20 hindsight. But other lawmakers say police should have known better, since they already got training for this kind of thing. In fact, even these police officers in Uvalde got active shooter training just 2 months before the shooting. That reportedly taught them to engage the shooter as soon as possible. Once the Justice Department review is complete, it will become public, so stay tuned. Leaders in the European Union have agreed to ban most imports of Russian oil. The New York Times says that's the harshest economic penalty yet for Russia in response to the war in Ukraine. And it's possibly the biggest sacrifice Europe has made so far. The new embargo is on all oil delivered by tankers. On top of that, countries will at least scale back the pipeline imports, too. All in all, EU officials say this means 90% of oil imports from Russia will be blocked by the end of the year. This is going to be a huge setback for Russia, since right now Europe pays tens of billions of dollars a month for Russian oil. And about 40% of Russia's federal budget revenue comes from the oil and gas sector, meaning a lot of the funding for the war in Ukraine comes from those exports. But there's been debate about this within the EU for a while, since the embargo is likely to drive already high energy prices even higher in Europe. Still, senior EU officials are expected to meet tomorrow to officially sign off on the deal. Already, European Union countries have banned imports of Russian natural gas, cut off Russian banks from global finance networks, frozen Russian assets, and more. The U.S. has also imposed unprecedented economic sanctions on Russia, while both the EU and the U.S. have sent billions into Ukraine. Even with all the sanctions, Russia is bombarding one of the last areas in eastern Ukraine that's still under Ukrainian control. And as of this morning, officials say about 90% of buildings in the eastern city of Severodonetsk has been damaged. People there are without power and cell phone service, and a humanitarian relief center has been forced to shut down. Also over the weekend, Ukrainian President Zelensky made his first visit to frontline troops in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. Those troops were able to push back the Russians a few weeks ago, but Russia has still been attacking the city from afar. In fact, airstrikes are still common all around Ukraine. Still, Russia is suffering losses too. Analysts say Russia is really now in a race against time to capture as much as it can before Ukraine gets even more weapons from Western nations like the U.S. As a UK news outlet put it, Russia and Ukraine have now been at war for nearly 100 days, and it's still not clear who's winning. To be continued. It's the first named storm of the year in the East Pacific Ocean, and it was the strongest on record to ever make landfall in the Eastern Pacific in May. Hurricane Agatha hit a stretch of tourist beaches and fishing towns in southern Mexico. People had to hunker down in shelters in the Mexican state of Oaxaca as the storm brought torrential rains and 105-mile-an-hour winds to the region. The good thing is the hurricane started losing strength quickly after it came on shore. So what was once a Category 2 hurricane is now considered a tropical storm as of this morning. And it's expected to keep weakening as the day goes on. All right, we have much more news still ahead for you, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. There are usually 2 or more sides to every story, but if you want to hire great talent for your business faster, there's one way we recommend you do it. You need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed is a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. You can find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. I appreciate that Indeed puts a guarantee in place. It is the only job site where you only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/newsworthy. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/newsworthy. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Pay per qualified applicant, not available for all users. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Well, some people had a chaotic time trying to travel over the long holiday weekend. Thousands of flights were canceled or delayed each day. FlightAware shows nearly 1,000 of them flying within, to, or from the U.S. were canceled on Sunday and Monday alone. It looks like Delta has the most cancellations of U.S.-based airlines. Delta told various news outlets that the airline has been providing at least 24 hours notice whenever possible for the holiday weekend and automatically rebooking travelers on the next best available option. Delta blamed bad weather and air traffic control actions. Other airlines like American and United also cited severe weather. And already some airlines are cutting down their summer flight schedules. Meanwhile, the cost of summer travel has skyrocketed since there's more demand than supply. The AP cites travel data firm Hopper, who found the average summer airfare right now is 45% higher than a year ago and 24% higher than this time in 2019 before the pandemic. Certain strawberries may be linked to a hepatitis A outbreak. The FDA is investigating this and says you should throw out any strawberries that might be contaminated. We're talking about organic, fresh strawberries under the brands Fresh Compo and H-E-B. They were sold at Aldi, Kroger, Walmart, Trader Joe's, and more between March 5th and April 25th. They would be beyond their use-by dates now, but the FDA says if you froze any, make sure you throw those out too. So far, there have been 17 cases of hepatitis A possibly linked to these strawberries, and at least a dozen people have been hospitalized. Hepatitis A is a contagious virus. Most people will recover within a few weeks, but in rare cases, it can cause liver disease. Symptoms can include jaundice, yellow eyes, abdominal pain, nausea, and more. Now, keep in mind, most children have been vaccinated against hepatitis A. The vaccine has been routinely recommended for children 1 to 2 years old since 2006. So the CDC says if you may have eaten these strawberries and are unvaccinated, you should talk to your doctor right away. France is facing a lot of criticism from sports fans over how it handled one of the biggest sporting events of the year. Every year, the Champions League final is the world's biggest soccer game outside of the World Cup. Basically, this is Europe's equivalent to the Super Bowl. And this year, the game brought 2 European powerhouses together, Real Madrid and Liverpool. And France was hosting. Well, before the game even started, it was overshadowed by chaos, confusion, and violence. And it's really made a lot of people wonder whether France is ready to host other big events like the 2024 Summer Olympics. Here's what happened. The French government says tens of thousands of Liverpool supporters showed up with either fake tickets or no tickets at all, that some forced their way in and others even assaulted stadium employees. Police then tried to clear the way by using tear gas and pepper spray on the crowds. In the end, even some fans who paid hundreds of dollars for real tickets were not able to get in. Now, the governing body of European soccer, UEFA, says it's going to review exactly what went wrong. By the way, as if all this wasn't bad enough for Liverpool fans, their team ended up losing to Real Madrid 1-0, meaning Real Madrid has now won the Champions League 14 times. That's a record by a lot. Tom Cruise is back in the cockpit after nearly 4 decades and had his biggest box office debut ever. It was also the biggest Memorial Day movie debut in history. The sequel, Top Gun: Maverick, shattered predictions for ticket sales over the holiday weekend, bringing in $156 million in North America in its first 4 days. Of course, Top Gun: Maverick is the sequel to the 1986 original. And to put it into perspective, the LA Times reports the original Top Gun also dominated the box office when it debuted, but it brought in $8 million in its opening weekend. And this time around, Top Gun: Maverick broke another record, too. It's playing at 4,732 North American theaters, and that's the widest release of all time. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, this podcast is sponsored by Rothy's. One of the things I love about my Rothy's shoes is their versatility. Rothy's work great with every outfit. I can put on my pointed toe black flats with yoga pants to walk around the block or grab a quick lunch, or wear my red Rothy's flats with jeans or dressier pants for a work conference or night out. Or I love wearing my Rothy's white lace-up sneakers for traveling and commuting because they make it easy to walk around the airport and keep my feet warm on the plane, all while allowing me to stay stylish on the go. And really, I can wear any of my Rothy's shoes in any of these scenarios and beyond. They're all comfortable, they're all cute, and they all bring me compliments almost every time I wear them. Plus, you know that I love Rothy's focus on sustainability. So, your new favorite shoes are waiting. Discover the versatile styles you can wear absolutely anywhere and get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/newsworthy. That's ROTHYS. Rothys.com/newsworthy for $20 off your first order. Rothys.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. And today's trivia question is, Area 51 is located in which U.S. state? You can answer the question and play along with us on Instagram. Just find and follow us at NewsworthyPod and look for the trivia quiz in our Instagram stories today. As for last week's trivia question, in public places in the state of Florida, what's illegal to do when wearing a swimsuit? The answer is sing. Yep, it's actually illegal to sing in public while in the state of Florida while you're wearing a swimsuit. Kind of bizarre when you think about Florida being a popular spring break destination and people partying on the beach. Of course, this is an old law that is likely not enforced anymore, but technically it is still on the books. Other weird laws in Florida specifically include it's illegal to fall asleep under a hairdryer at the salon. Unmarried women cannot parachute on Sundays. And in Tampa Bay, you can't eat cottage cheese after 6 p.m. All right, thank you so much for listening today and making us part of your routine. We'll be back with another news roundup tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.